Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, Nonstop Talking with your girl here, Vivian Liu. Today I am coming at you with my third book series I didn't finish. The first one had 8 titles, the second one also had 8 titles, and the third one will follow suit and have 8 titles as well. Once again, these titles are in no particular order, but I did try to alphabetize them, and after this, I feel like this book series I didn't finish will probably disappear for some time because yeah, book series don't get dropped like flies. Number 1, Stargirl by Jerry Spinelli. Please don't hate me. I'm one of the few people in this world that picked up Stargirl as an adult and just didn't care for it. And when I went to go mark it as read on Goodreads, I found out that there's actually 2 books. It's a duology. I don't know how many people have read the second book. I feel like everyone only ever talks about Stargirl. But yeah, I read the first book, didn't care for it. I wonder what that says about my heart, honestly, but not reading the second. Number 2, Tangled by Emma Chase. So I really loved Emma Chase's Royally series. Ooh, I should do a series wrap-up for that. Anyway, so I love Royally, and then I went to go pick up Tangled, and I didn't like Tangled. It had a lot of tropes that I didn't enjoy. And, you know, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. There's so many, romance novels out there that there's no point in sticking with a romance series where the first book I gave 2 out of 5 stars to, and that's why I'm not continuing on with Tangled. Number 3, Things by Andrew Clements. Things Not Seen, which is the first book, was a huge preteen fave of mine. I thought it was just so different, so novel, and so unique, and I loved it. And I thought it was a standalone. And it wasn't until I think I signed up for a Goodreads account probably 3 years ago. So when I started going back and marking some of my preteen and teen books as read, that's when I found out that Things is actually a trilogy, and I'm just too old to continue on. That's that. Number 4, The Tiny Books of Tiny Stories by Joseph Gordon-Levitt. This book, the first one, was on sale. Actually, all 3 of them are on sale on Book Outlet. So I went and bought the first one just because Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and I read it, and honestly I think it's a very unique concept. I think it's very cool, but it didn't capture my emotions. I don't know, it didn't vibe with me, and I finished it really quick because, you know, obviously it's small and there's pictures and whatnot, and after I finished it, I texted one of my friends who's an artist, and I was like, hey, I think you might be interested in this. Do you want to take it off my hands? Because I didn't like it, but I think you will. And she said yes, and so yeah, I pretty much unhauled it immediately after. I literally got the Book Outlet package and was like, oh, this is short, I could just read it right now. I go through it, and then that day of text someone to take it off my hands. And yeah, I just feel so bad. Honestly, I think the concept is very, very cool, and I can see why people would like it. It just for some reason did not vibe with me at all. Number 5, To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. This book was one of my favorite high school required readings. It's something that I would really like to reread now as an adult. I think I read it probably, I think it was freshman year required reading. Anyways, I love the book, but I hated the scandal that surround the publishing of the sequel, and I just felt like it wasn't fair, and it's not something I want to support. So I don't think I will ever be picking up. I don't think I will ever pick up the second book. Number 6, Uglies by Scott Westerfield. I bought this at that time. I think it was a trilogy, right? It started off as a trilogy and then the 4th book was added later. But yeah, I bought this box trilogy at a Scholastic book fair. I read the first book and thought it was like so cool, and I remember thinking it was really cool, and I don't know why I like never read the last book in the series. And it wasn't until I think recently, was it recently? I think it's recently. Scott Westerfield announced that, I think it's already been published, but a spin-off series set in the Uglies world is already published. And because of that news, I was reminded of the Uglies series, and I was just like, wait, I actually never finished that. And now that I am an adult, I don't want to go back and reread it just to be like, yeah, I completed you. Maybe I should. Maybe it is that good. But I don't know. I don't really have any interest for it now. But I do remember that I particularly loved the first book when I was young. Number 7, Wild Cards by Simone Elclis. I love the Perfect Chemistry trilogy. I read it in high school and it was a favorite. And I think 2 years, no, probably 3 years, I reread it as an adult, and I still think it has its merits as a YA romance. And I really enjoyed my reread. And after my reread, I was just like, let's pick up more Simone Elclis. And so I picked up the first book in Wild Cards. The version that I had was titled like Not Your Perfect or something like that. And it was just very basic. It was very average. Nothing about it like really stood out for me. And the next book, it's only a duology. The next book, Wild Crush, I think the characters that it features, or the couple that it features, was introduced in the first book, and I didn't really care for them in the first book. Not that I really cared for the overall first book, but yeah, because of that, I just don't know if I have any interest. I didn't like dislike Wild Card, or is it Wild Cards? I think it's Wild Cards. Yeah, Wild Cards. Yeah, I didn't dislike Wild Cards. It was just mediocre, and I don't know if I want to like read another like book that's similar to it that's like mediocre as well. But honestly, like these like older YA contemporary romances, they like can just fly by in a one day's like sitting. So maybe potentially I will pick up Wild Crush, but at this moment in time it's a no. So I don't know if I'll like specifically ever like go out of my way and make time to like finish this duology. Number 8, Gossip Girl. I don't really think I know how to say the author's name, so I'm not gonna say it, but you probably know with how famous the show made the books. I wasn't even gonna put this on the list. Like, I just felt like it was so unnecessary to like name all these like childhood books that are like super long that I never finish. That's just the way it goes. But I wanted to round this out and make it 8, so I like picked one of them, and it was Gossip Girl, because there's a little bit of a funny story to Gossip Girl. I think it was my sister who bought the books because she really liked the covers of like, you know, the pretty blonde white rich girls with like skinny figures. I think that's like how like all the covers kind of look, with like not like their whole entire head, if I remember correctly. But yeah, so my sister bought a few of them in one go, and one day I was reading it like while like my family was out for dinner, and we were like waiting for a table, I think, and I was just like holding it and reading it, and my aunt like stood behind me, and I think the chapter of the title, which like is bigger like in font wise, said something about like sex, and my aunt saw that and got mad at me for reading a book about sex. And Gossip Girl got me in trouble, and that's how I'll always remember Gossip Girl. And thus I was like, I'm not reading this series anymore. Oh god, I sound like such a loser. I really was a loser when I was a kid. But yeah, so I never went around to finishing the book series, and then obviously the TV show came out when I was in high school, and like I would secretly watch it, and it was really good. When it first started out, I don't think I actually ever finished the show. I know I got up to season 3 and was like, oh, this is good. As up to season 3, I'm done here. But I know a lot of people really love the show, and it's something I always thought about, like maybe I should go back and watch in its entirety. But then I already know who Gossip Girl is, so like maybe not. Probably not. But I did love like Serena and Blair and their friendship and their fashion. And okay, I don't even know why I'm talking about the show. This is not the point of this video. So that's 8 books already. Outro time. Like, comment, subscribe, and see you in my next video whenever that is. Bye.